Hello, my name's Andrew, and today we're talking about the pros and the cons of barefoot shoes versus full barefoot. Basically, now that it's spring, I find myself taking off my shoes a lot and just going outside barefoot. And it kind of makes me feel like a kid again, sloshing through mud and skimming through wet grass. And as sensitive as barefoot shoes are, it's just never going to beat full barefoot. And I found that once I build up enough callus, I could even run on roads. But there are some downsides of going completely barefoot. Like, especially on urban terrain, your feet can pick up all kinds of nasty chemicals. And even if you wash it off when you get back home, it's like, do you really want gasoline and rubber residue all over your feet? Probably not, right? So that's where a super thin shoe like the Vivo Barefoot Senses comes in handy, because it's only 3mm thick and you get a ton of ground feel as well as a really natural stride because of all the flexibility, but that 3mm just keeps all the nasty crap off your feet. On the other hand, hiking and trail running can be a little bit better for full barefoot because there's nothing toxic coming in contact with your skin, and especially if you're familiar with the terrain, there's really not much risk of stepping on anything dangerous. But the downside is that you do have to pay a lot more attention, so I find full barefooting to be more of an introverted experience where I'm just kind of like looking down at the maybe like 4 feet in front of me. And that can be really fun because then you're having this very intimate relationship with the ground in front of you, like almost to the extent of it being sort of meditation. But on the other hand, this can kind of get annoying if you're someplace that's really beautiful and like you want to be enjoying the scenery, but instead you're having to constantly look down to make sure you don't step on anything, which is where a barefoot trail shoe or hiking boot can come in handy because they provide just enough protection from the sharp pokey stuff while still letting in quite a lot of sensation so that I can mostly just enjoy the run or the hike, because I'm only having to scan for the big stuff like roots or fallen trees, and oftentimes this actually puts me in more of a flow than being completely barefoot. Also, another use case where barefoot shoes are kind of a no-brainer is winter, because unless you're a certified mountain man, you probably don't have enough fur to keep yourself warm below freezing. So using a barefoot boot and wool socks solves that problem, and especially if you're hiking or trail running on steep, slippery hills, an aggressive tread is going to give you a lot more traction than trying to go barefoot, although a thin pair of toe shoes can be a really good compromise. Another good hybrid option is to use a thin pair of barefoot sandals, because then you've got the protection but the whole thing is open up top. And a couple of my favorites are the Totem Osum for roads, which is super thin and flexible, or the Alpha Black Bear for trail running, and Zero Z Track for casual hiking. That said, the more you go full barefoot, the thicker the callus is going to be under your feet, and the more it's going to feel like you're wearing barefoot shoes all the time, which definitely broadens the horizons of what sorts of terrain that you can go on. And in my opinion, the more time you spend completely barefoot, the better. The last consideration, I guess, is like going into stores or the office or school, because no matter how much callus you have or how much you like being barefoot, they're just not going to let you in. But fortunately, there are a lot of barefoot brands out there that make really flexible shoes with good ground feel that you can wear inside without feeling like you're compromising too much. So yeah, those are my thoughts on when I wear barefoot shoes versus going full barefoot. But if you'd like to support the channel, you can shop with the referral links down below, or check out my video guides for transitioning to zero drop shoes, as well as going completely without them. Finally, if you have a question about barefoot shoes or about barefooting in general, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.